Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Showseph. As always, I'm your host with the most, Joseph. And guess what? I've been watching The Office lately, the NBC series sitcom The Office, starring a bunch of people. You've all probably seen it. You're all aware of it. It's a television series. It's a mockumentary series. Takes place in an office. Romance, situational humor, relatable. It's a very easy show. Everybody loves this show. Everyone's always into this show. That's sort of what I want to talk about today. It's something that I think I was always very critical of shows like The Office or shows like Friends because of this feeling of, I guess you call it comedy snobbery of like, I know what better comedy is, and I won't watch or indulge in these series that people who aren't as into comedy as me are into. These very basic series or this very basic movie or concept that people should be searching out higher forms of comedy, funnier versions or better shows or movies. And I've been watching it, and it's a fine show. It's not. There's nothing too egregious about it, too offensive or too complex, or it's not like that unfunny that like people should be upset about it. And in a lot of the circles that I've been in, people are often upset or accusatory of the type of comedy that non-comedy fans are into. And I'm trying to right that wrong, trying to become less judgmental, less opinionated, less confrontational. But something that always turned me off about The Office is when you would in real life meet people who would think or act like their life is The Office, which is something I think a lot of people do with a lot of different series, is like Friends or like Always Sunny, is people will often compare themselves to the shows that they consume and say, oh, this person is like the Chandler or the Michael Scott of my real life. Or this guy, he's a Ross. Or this girl, she is a the girl from The Office. What's her name? Pam. This is a Pam, and this is the Jim, and we're shipping them because it's like the show. It's like The Office, and that always was something that kind of bothered me, was people who were trying to replicate a fictional series into their real life. I think that could potentially lead to more exciting things in your real life. Now, that's my thought process, is that if you are in pursuit of, watching a series or watching a film or a television show and thinking of living as these characters, I think that can lead to some fun adventures that you can live in your real life. And I'm not entirely opposed to it if you are in pursuit of something further of just, hanging out or going to work or like living kind of a mundane life. But I think that people need to not find fulfillment in the series themselves, but find fulfillment in their real lives. Because I've seen this happen as well, as a lot of people will, for example, base parts of their life off of something like an Always Sunny, where the concept, the entire being of the show is based on these characters who are act negatively and act in negative ways towards each other, towards the world. And I think if you let something like that kind of consume you and it becomes something in you, then you're trying to replicate a negative affect of a television series and put it into your real life, and thus making your real life that much more negative, because those are just characters on a show. The people in real life, they see. I don't know them personally. I don't really. I've never talked to them. This is just my assumption, but I'm assuming they don't act like their characters in real life, and they seem to really enjoy making the show. And maybe it's just an outlet for them to act in the way that they think this is what the extreme of our personality should be like. But that was always something that for me was a turnoff in people, was when they would try to replicate a character through themselves, because then you're not living like yourself. You're not living with your own idea or identity. You're living based off of a fictitious character who doesn't exist in this reality, and rules work differently in this reality than in your series reality. Like Friends, for example. Like in Friends, Chandler, he cheats. He has sex with Joey's girlfriend or something like that. There's some sort of scandal between them. And then because the series is called Friends and they're all friends, by the end of the episode, Chandler just has to sit in a box for a whole episode. And then by the end of that, they're friends again. That's usually something that would not happen in reality. This would probably cause a rift or a end in a relationship if that's something that were to actually happen. So I think that if you're looking like a show like Friends and being like, I want to be like the Friends, and then that happens in real life, that wouldn't have the same consequence. So I think that this is what the basis of this talk or this episode is about. I think that there is benefit to looking to fiction or to characters to try to model your personality off of. A lot of guys, this is a thing people do. They're like, I'm literally me, Ryan Gosling. I watch all the Ryan Gosling movies, try to act like Ryan Gosling. I dress like Ryan Gosling. I think like Ryan Gosling. And in the movie, it's cool, and he's sexy, and he's a hot guy, and he's tough, and all the girls want to date him, and he says the best lines every time. But then if you ever see a guy in real life wearing the fucking Drive Scorpion jacket, it's like that guy's kind of a loser. This isn't the movie. You work like a regular job, and you hang around regular people. You're not like a crime driver, stunt driver, Hollywood guy who's doing bank robberies. And even if you were to wear that in real life, I'm sure people online would publicly ridicule you and say, like, this guy looks ridiculous. He's wearing like a retard jacket. It's not really a good look. So look, ultimately you can do whatever you want. If you want to base yourself off of fictional characters, and if you want to base your personality type, or the things you say, if you want to, I used to do it too. I'm not perfect. I remember when I saw Community, I wanted to be like Jeff Winger so bad. That guy was so cool, and he always said the right thing. He was the right amount of like smugness, and they all still loved him, and he was like he was the hero to all of them. But also, like, that guy in real life wouldn't have friends or relationship or the titular community. He would probably just be kind of a loner and very, very ignorant. And I think that's kind of the lesson of the show, is like, as the seasons go on, Jeff becomes less ignorant in that way, and he's able to open up more to his classmates and to his friends. But people like to take that beginning part of that character, kind of the basis of that character, and make that their personality. And I think that's where people need to learn how to grow. They need to learn how to grow out of things. When I was in high school or college, I thought I was going to be around those people, liking the same types of movies, playing with Legos, like doing the same shit my entire life. I didn't want to change. And now I'm a very different person from back then. I think that we need to open ourselves up to change and not base our identity around something that has no basis in reality. And like I said in a previous episode, just listen to yourself. You know the truth. You have all the answers. You know what to do. So this has been hopefully inspiring, or a less critical look at things. Trying to be less critical, trying to be less judgmental. So hopefully you got something from this, and I'll see you next week. Big peace.